And a very good morning to all the participants present today. It's a pleasure to welcome you all for today's session by yet another charming and a very charismatic leader, Mr. Zarook Shah. Just to describe you about Mr. Zarook Shah, he's the director of Grand Square in Chennai. He has graduated from the University of Madras in Bachelor's of Engineering. Mr. Zarook had left for Tokyo to take over the Japanese operations of the family's global gemstone business, where he became familiar with the ways of international business. Having a vein for creativity and experience in diamonds, Mr. Zarook started as a jeweler. His designs were soon recognized and appreciated by connoisseurs of the fashion world. He has received significant fame for designing the exclusive line of diamond jewelry for Walt Disney, which has sold across 100 plus stores all across Japan. He has established himself as an accomplished jewelry designer. He is also a motivational speaker and author. His topic today will be being positive, and he is also a fitness enthusiast and a mental health advocate. Welcoming you, Mr. Zarook Shah. I hope you all enjoy the session.
Are we starting?
Yes, sir. Live.
Good morning to all, and thank you, Gibran, for introducing me. And thank you, IKLAS Academy, and Mr. Khalid and Mr. Miran for having such a wonderful initiative during these tough times. And first of all, I mean, the world, the entire, it's not only India, not only Chennai, the entire world is going through a big crisis, an epidemic, and we all have to be together. And during this time, we hear a lot of negativity. And every time you open the news or you talk to people, the only thing you hear negativity, and then this actually stresses us a lot. And then the topic given to me and generally is about being positive. And with that note, I want to start, and then I want to welcome you to my session. As Gibran said, I'm the director at Grand Square Mall. Not only that, I also began my journey as a motivational speaker and an author. I have published my first book, which is called Yume no Monogatari. It's a Japanese word because it's called Story of Dreams in Japanese, because a lot of my story actually happened in Japan. Coming back, the two philosophies in my life has always been dreams and passion. Why dreams and passion and positivity? I wanted to connect by the famous quotes of Dr. Abdul Kalam. Dream is something which you do while not sleeping. Dream is something which will not let you sleep. My life has been always based on these two philosophies and has been made me achieve a lot of things. And then why I'm telling about dream and passion is once you have a dream and passion in life, challenges can be overcome easily. That's the first thing I wanted to talk about. And just 1 minute, actually, I'm going to share my PPT as well. Just 1 minute. This is my, okay, I think it's not okay.
Able to share that?
Yeah, but can you guys see that thing? And I'm not able to see my video actually.
Yeah, you just have to put a share screen.
Yeah, I did that.
And we are not able to access your desktop. Actually.
Now we're able to?
Not yet, sir. So if you could just check. As we did in the trial yesterday, you could just press on the screen share and then click on the particular.
Yeah, I did that. It's come for me. It's come.
Just a second. So it's not. Yeah.
Okay, I think we'll do without the PPT. Is it coming?
Yeah, you can continue, sir. No worries. But it's not coming yet.
Okay. Till my presentation is basically, which I have a generic presentation. If it comes, it's fine. So couple of things which I learned in my life. Life, as I mentioned, it's what I mentioned here is it's an entrepreneur's ride, roller coaster ride from Ginza to Moore Market. My journey started in Chennai. I was born and brought up here, and then I finished my graduation and I went to Japan in 1990 to carry on my father's diamond business. From there, I became a jeweler, and then my journey continued, which I'll be explaining a little bit later. Then I'm back again in Chennai. Being an entrepreneur is not about a very smooth journey. All the entrepreneurs will be knowing about it. It's full of ups and downs in life. A lot of challenges always happens. To overcome that is the most important thing. And during times like this, we have to be very, very positive. In fact, I wanted to talk about history. Whenever there's a calamity or a disruption which is happening like this, which is always for our better good. I wanted to talk about a couple of incidents which happened in world history, which actually the disruptions were for the better for the mankind. For example, coronavirus, which we're having right now. Um, None of us in our lifetime we have seen it, but this is something not new. We've been having these kind of epidemics before in history, and the latest one before this was the Spanish flu of 1918, which happened across the world. And during that time, about 500 million people were affected by the Spanish flu, and 50 million people were affected in India, including our father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. During that time, almost 15 million people lost their lives. But the positive thing which came out of the Spanish flu was that is the time, like mostly a lot of the Indian, all the low caste Indians got affected, and then they perished during the epidemics. And there became a very big resentment for the Indians to fight against the British. So this was the tipping point for the independence movement. This is when Gandhiji was able to mobilize the entire nation behind him. That's how we got the independence. So if the epidemic, the Spanish flu did not happen, maybe our independence would have taken a longer period of time. That's the first example I wanted to give. And the second example I wanted to give is about Japan. Japan after World War II, like the bombings in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the general destruction of Japan. Japan became ravaged and devastated during the World War II. But only because Japanese hard work and resilience, they were able to come out of it, and then they became the second largest economy in the world. That's the number two I wanted to talk about. Number three is also the case of China. China, as we know, is still a communist country. It started in 1949 under General Mao. Mao was a very strict communist leader, and during 1959 to 61, China faced a huge famine. In fact, during that time, almost 15 to 20 million people lost their lives. And after that, there was a lot of resentment against General Mao, and people were getting restless. In order to control that, General Mao started a movement called the Cultural Revolution, in fact, which he got more control and became very authoritative. And that was called the Cultural Revolution, which started from 1966 to 76 until he died. And then during that time, more than 2 million people died. And then China was literally again ravaged and devastated. Then the new leader, Mr. Deng Xiaoping, he was the one who created the general reforms, the capitalist reforms of China under a communist model. Then only China opened up its doors to world economy. And as we see now, China is the number two economy in the world. China's GDP is about $16 trillion dollars, only next to US, which is about $20 trillion dollars. This is how China goes. If not the cultural revolution or the famine, China would not have been the China we have now. And last but not the least, I want to take the examples of India itself. So as we know, like India got independent in 1947 and was ruled by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru for a long time. Jawaharlal Nehru wanted to follow a socialist democratic policy in India. So as we were under a British colony for a long time, he didn't want to depend on colonists. So he didn't want to go for globalization. So hence he wanted to become we wanted to become an insular nation. He started a lot of public sector units, and then he believed in local growth. So there were a lot of red tapeism during that time, during the Gandhi period till 1990. In fact, most of my family, like my father, my grandfather, and most of amongst here, we went abroad to look for our wealth, not in India. Wealth creation in India was very, very low, and our country was growing at a very small growth rate. It's about 2.5 to 3%. It was called the Hindu growth rate, and slowly, um, since with all the restrictions, our fiscal deficit was rising, and then our balance of payment was also in shambles. We were having a big balance of payment crisis during the 80s, and then 90s beginning. We had a big balance of payment crisis, and the Gulf War of 90 was actually the tipping point. During that, the oil prices increased, and then India was actually dependent of oil imports and a lot of raw materials for the local production. And in 1991, to be exact, around June or July, India had a very severe balance of payment crisis. They had only 3 weeks of foreign exchange reserves to for their imports. They had just about 1.3 million, $3 billion of foreign exchange reserves. So India was actually faltering during that time. And that time we had a prime minister was Narasimha Rao, and then finance minister was Dr. Manmohan Singh. With them, the economic reforms started. It was actually not started willfully. India basically went to IMF and World Bank to bail out for loans. And the conditions put by IMF and World Bank was to open up India for reforms. That's how the economic reforms of India happened in 1991. If we did not have the economic crisis, India would have been still an underdeveloped nation. Now we are the sixth largest economy in the world. That is one. And then in again, how India became a superpower was also there was a crisis basically when we were coming from the 20th to the 21st century, the millennium, right? So we had a big problem called the Y2K problem. Y2K is the thing when your computer, your dates, it will not have 4 digits. It's like you will not have 1901 or 1902. It'll have just the last 2 digits. So when the world was changing from 1900s to 2000, the entire world was fearing for a global collapse because of glitches in the computer system, including airlines or banking sector and everything. That is the time India was actually becoming a software power. America needed India's assistance, basically our engineers. So most of them went to the US or from here. We started outsourcing. India started, world started outsourcing the software requirements to India. That's when, during the Y2K, is when India actually became a software superpower. Why I'm telling you all these incidences are, if we didn't have the incidences of, say, the pandemic, the Spanish flu, or the World War II, or the communist regime in China, or the economic crisis, or the Y2K, we would not have been what we are now. So it's always when there is an adversity or a challenge, it might look it is bad for that moment, but it's actually for our own better good. And a lot of good things will happen actually because of disruption. Only during disruptions, innovations will happen. We'll start looking into ways to do things differently. And basically, these are the examples of history. But this also holds true for me. I had a lot of incidences. As I told you before, the only two mantras for my life is dream and passion. When you have dream and passion, things will gravitate towards you. And something which might look bad, you will actually convert that into an opportunity. That's what happened to me. And a lot of my dreams actually became a reality. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. The first instance, like I finished my college in 1990 in present. I was an engineer. And my first, as like any youngster during those days, even now, I wanted to go abroad. I wanted to go to New York to study. In fact, I got admission to NYU, Stern Business School. It's one of the most prestigious business school in the US. And unfortunately, and I was really looking forward. I got my visa and I was about ready to go. Unfortunately, like there was a different turn of events. In our Japan office, which was taken care by my brother, and there was another partner. He left us. In fact, he cheated and left us. And that time, my father asked me not to go to the US and go and assist my brother in Japan. I was like really shattered. I was like looking forward to go to the US and maybe if I had gone to the US, my life would have been different. And instead, I had to go to Japan, which was life shattering for me. At that moment, I know I was just a 20-year-old, and you know how it is. And but to think of it now, um, because of my journey to Japan, my entire perspective of life actually changed. It made me a better person. It is actually a blessing in disguise. And being in Japan, you know, it's one of the most disciplined country in the world, and you learn a lot of things. Probably, if I had been in the US, my life could have been different. I don't know, but being in Japan actually it made me help me become a better person. I was reserved, you know, like Japan opened me up. You know, it's not an easy country to live, and there were a lot of challenges which I faced, and then it made me a better person. Also, another thing is like initially, I wouldn't say it is a challenge; it is an opportunity. I went to Japan because to take care of a diamond business. Normally, I was not interested in selling diamond. Diamond is actually it's a commodity. It's about demand and supply. My interest was always in something a value addition, maybe creating something. And I was never happy just doing loose diamonds. And I was always itching to do something creative. And then I had an opportunity to work with Disney Store. There's a long story. Maybe I can touch about a little bit. I had a lot of men being in Japan. You know, like the foreign community is a very small community, and then you have a lot of friends from all across the world. One of my friend was working for Disney Store. In fact, in my PPT, all these slides are there. I wish I could show it to you. And one day we were having dinner with them together, and that time, across our table, the boss of Disney store in Japan. So Disney has about 150 stores in Japan. And he was sitting on the other side. He saw a table, and then my friend, his name is Brian, he came to a table and he started talking with us. And then he was telling how in the US, Warner Brothers had come with a jewelry line, and he was generally talking. I mean, he didn't know I was in the diamond industry or something related to jewelry. And even though I was not doing jewelry, during the conversation, I told Doug, his name is Doug. Doug, I'm also in the connected to the jewelry industry. So can I give you some proposal? He said, yeah, please give me a proposal, and then let's see. And I was scouting around how. I mean, because an opportunity came, I didn't want to leave. That's my philosophy. I would never want to leave an opportunity. I started looking around, and then one of my customers, he had a small jewelry manufacturing unit. Along with him, we made a proposal to give it to Disney to manufacture jewelry for Disney store. I had sent the mail to him, and then waiting for his reply. He never replied. And I told my friend that your boss has not replied. So my friend talked to his boss, and then Doug called me, and then he apologized. And then he said, Zarook, I mean, I'm going to introduce you to my manager. He'll take care of the things. Why don't you meet him? So I was meeting Mr. Akiyoshi. He is the manager for soft merchandises, which includes jewelry and accessories. And I had to meet him on certain date to take him to the customer for a proposal. And I met Akiyoshi-san. San is how we call Mr. in Japanese. So I met him at the station, and I was really nervous before meeting him. You know, I'm a very small company, uh, but here is Mr. Akiyoshi from representing one of the biggest brands in the world. Probably like Disney will have everything. You know, like they have known all vendors across the world. What can I offer to them? You know, probably like, but anyway, like I had all these negative thoughts in my mind. And when I approached Mr. Akiyoshi, he was very happy to see me. And then he said, Zarook-san, um, we are very happy to meet you. So Disney has vendors for a lot of merchandises. You know, we have vendors for clothing, we have vendors for accessories, you know, the children's accessory, but we don't have a vendor for jewelry. So that really struck me. I was like really surprised. It was a revelation for me. A company like Disney, which knows every vendor, does not have an expertise in jewelry. So which I had. So this was a very big revelation. Normally, like everywhere, I mean, especially in India, what we do is we really underestimate our ability. We never approach somebody bigger, thinking either we might be ridiculed or we might fail, and then we never approach them at all. But we never know, you know. So we can offer something big to another company, even though you're a small thing. This was the biggest lesson I had learned in life, and then it really changed me. From then onwards, okay, I'll continue the story also. But then onwards, so I never really got afraid to approaching anybody. So we approach somebody either for a business or for your career. If we get it, it is great. Even if you don't get it, it is a learning experience. And then, okay, with Akish San, I went and met we went and met our customer, and we started back and forth for a long time because it's not easy in Japan. Everything takes a long time. So for about 6 months, we were giving like a lot of different ideas. Finally, we gave a proposal of a new concept. It was a baby ring. It's basically a tiny ring which could fit a baby's finger, and it can also be converted into a necklace which can be worn by the mother. And they were really excited about it. And then Disney had about 150 stores, and I mean, this baby ring, each ring had the birthstone. There are 12 birthstones, according to different months, like the topaz, diamond, ruby, emerald, sapphire, whatever. So there are 12. Each sample set is about 12. And then we have to place it in 150 stores. So if you mean 150 into 12 is about 1,800 rings was my first order from Disney. It was almost about $100,000, almost like about 75 lakh rupees at today's cost. So this changed my whole perspective of life. And then, like whenever there's opportunity, I always went and pitched in for that. That was one of the biggest lesson which I learned. And then, in fact, I approached things more positively. And things were good slowly. Even like Khalid was part of our journey because one of the brands, in fact, after that time, our jewelry business grew. And then we imported about 4 different jewelry brands from Europe into Japan, including a brand called Shintala Monaco, which I was also associated with Mr. Khalid here. Shintala Monaco is a brand from Monte Carlo. It is a very high-end brand. It is also worn by the likes of Aishwarya Rai and a lot of famous actresses. Very high-end brand. In fact, we established across all the stores, and I started my own jewelry store. And we were one of the most well sought after jewelry brands in Japan. And my second setback, okay, my first setback, as I told you, was I was supposed to go to the US. I couldn't go. I went to Japan. Initially I thought it was a setback, but it actually became a very positive thing. So probably I'm a person like I am, I am a person it's not like I'm always positive and then always bright. There are a lot of pessimism inside me, there are a lot of negativity, but it's a process. I learned to overcome these because of my challenges which happened. The second biggest, not the second biggest, the biggest challenge which I faced was in 2002. So, I mean, our offices, our Daman offices were in different parts of the world. We had offices in Bombay, Japan, Bangkok, Hong Kong. We had a huge business loss in our Bangkok office. Um, and my father called me, and then in fact I had to go to Bangkok to be with him, to support him. And it took a really big emotional toll for me, and then I started becoming very stressful, and then I was not able to sleep. And that all because of Bangkok operations. Our operations in Japan also got affected, and so I went back to Japan, and slowly things were getting very bad, and I was losing my sleep. And then I was not even able to sleep for a minute, and certain things which happened, which actually triggered my stress levels very high, and I started going into depression. So not many people really understand much about depression. It's a very serious health issue. So I mean, only once you go through depression, you really understand about that. And I was not even able to sleep for 1 minute. This went on not just for a day, too. It went on for like months. And then and whenever like night comes, I used to be afraid to sleep. I mean, I couldn't sleep at all. And slowly, like I consulted our family doctor in Chennai. He prescribed me some medicines, and then I took the medicine. Probably I would have slept for half an hour. I would have wake up profusely sweating. I mean, I was literally having a post-traumatic stress disorder. But then, luckily, I was able to find a good psychiatrist. I mean, that's another important thing. You need to go take proper help. And why I want to say that is, I mean, it took a toll, But this is a time I really put a lot of faith in God. If God was not there, I would have actually committed suicide. I like your mind is locked in a small cardboard box, cardboard box, and your only thoughts are about sleep, or like which I couldn't sleep. So my mind never. I couldn't wander off anywhere. It's just about. Why I'm not sleeping, why I'm sleeping, and then I was totally disconnected with the world. I was not able to talk to people. I lost interest in activities, and then I was nervous all the time. My heartbeat, normally your heartbeat is about 70 heartbeats per minute. My heartbeat was almost 120 to 130. I was in a very high state of anxiety for a long time. So luckily, I found a very good doctor. There's long story. It all comes in my book. I can't. If I go on, it takes lot of time. Two things like which really helped me pull me through that phases. One, the belief in God, which really helped me. Without having faith during that time, I would not have been able to overcome that phase. And next thing, I was always interested in fitness. So during that time, I never let my fitness regime stop. Uh, in order to overcome that, overcome my anxiety, I used to even exercise more. I think it's these, and of course, my family, my wife was there with me. She was a pillar of support, and that was actually one of the biggest challenges I had faced. And it almost took almost a decade from 2002 to 2012. Maybe the depression went off after a couple of years. My sleep took a long time for me to recover. Even sometimes now, if I don't follow proper sleep hygiene, it takes for a toll. So I have to be very careful about it. But by God's will, so I overcome that. That gave me a lot of lesson. That's the time I realized, if I was able to go through this challenge and come out of it, other challenges probably like anything financial or any other challenges are just secondary. So you need to have put a lot of faith in God, and and you'll be able to overcome that. So during this time, I tend to get stronger mentally. And ironically, the funny part was during this time, 2002, 2012, is where my brands grew. This is the time I got all these brands into Japan, and this is the time actually we grew. My store, I had my jewelry store started in 2004. The brand Shintila started in 2002, if I'm not mistaken. And I used to go and attend, Japan. In Japan, like a lot of sales happened during exhibition, like all across Japan. And since I didn't in the initial stage, I didn't have many staffs. I used to go and do these exhibitions by myself, setting up the stalls. You need to be there by 6 o'clock. So basically you have to travel to different cities, and then you would not have slept, but still you have to go and do things. And I, even though like inside I had a lot of anxiety, I did not show that. And whenever I sold, I felt little bit of happiness. And then I was under a proper medical care, and then I came out of it. And by the time I moved back to India in 2009, so we were one of the main, I wouldn't say the biggest, but at least one of the most well-known jewelry stores in jewelry companies in Japan. And most of the, not most, almost all of Japan knew about us. So, and then it was a dream for me also to become a jeweler, which I did. I never thought that. And to think of recollecting that moment of that decade, I still keep wondering how I was able to do those things, achieve so many things in spite of going through a very bad phase in life. That's where faith comes in. That's how you have to mentally strong. Talking about your mind can be your best friend. It can take you to heights if you think positively. It can really take you to heights. You can do achieve anything. And mind is a very very funny thing. If you really think. That's why I'm coming back to having dream and passion. When you dream about something, you will not imagine opportunities will actually come towards you. You don't even have to go look at it. It's happened many times, and I wish I can explain a lot of small things, but the session goes longer. But just one example, just one example out of that I wanted to talk. In our mall, I wanted to start. We invited a lot of toy stores to be part of our mall. Nobody wanted to come. and I wanted to have a toy segment, because we cater to a lot of children and youngsters. And then because nobody came, since I thought it was a failure mall, then I thought I needed to have a toy store. And then I there was small space available, and I wanted to start one. And I went to Saucapet to source for the Chinese toys, which was easier. Now I wanted to source for the branded toys, which was difficult. I called up people, and then they said you have to go to Bombay here and there. They didn't know, brand toys in the sense of Hot Wheels and Mattel or Barbie. And I work out at my gym every day. And suddenly, like this new gentleman, he started working out, and initially we had. I met him at the gym, and then we had a conversation. And I was his name was Siddharth, and I was asking him generally what do you do, and then he said they're a company wholesale business. Then I asked him what sort of wholesale business you are, and he said I'm in the toy wholesale business. And I asked what sort of toys, and then he said I'm in the branded toy business. This is only about 3 or 4 days of me trying to source for branded toys. Uh, and I was like, really, I was totally surprised, or I don't know what you call it, fate or God's will. So since I had the dream to open a toy store, I didn't even have to go look for it. The person came looking for me, and from then onwards, most of the toys are supplied from this person. That's why I say, like, mind is a very powerful thing. Either it can take you to heights, or it could be a worst enemy. If you always think negatively, it can actually become a worst enemy. So it's how you use it. My mind is like fire. You can use it to your to make light a house, and give light, or you can have even burn the house. It's about how you use mind. So that's one of the most important lessons I want to talk about. And coming, okay, this is the story in Japan. Eventually, I had moved back to India in 2008-9 because my father passed away. And business actually, I was in the jewelry luxury business, and Japan is it's luxury business is one of the last to grow and then the first to fall. So eventually, I had to move, and then I had spent almost 20 years in Japan. So I thought it was time to move back after my father's demise. I moved back in India, and then we were actually building the shopping mall. So this is a land my father bought in 1994. And since he lived abroad, he lived in Hong Kong, and then I had lived in Japan. So we know the importance of mall, and then India was actually the malls in India were rising, and then we saw it there was a lucrative business in it. And then my father decided to start shopping mall in 2006 in Velachery. So we found the right partner to do the construction. We started the process in 2006. In that time, there was no other mall in Velachery. There was nothing announced. So, and we thought, we were all gung ho, like when we announced that we're going to open the shopping mall, it was called the Grand Mall. Now we changed the name, it's called Grand Square. And we had signed with all the brands, and then we're totally full, and we were just getting ready to open the mall in maybe for 2 or 3 years. And 2008, just 2.5 kilometers away from us, Phoenix announced that they're going to open a shopping mall. So that was like a huge setback. We didn't know what to do. And when Phoenix announced they're going to start building, and initially we thought it was rumor, but then later it became reality. And most of the brands which signed with us moved to Phoenix. Obviously, they're a big brand, and a bigger shopping center, so they moved to Phoenix. So when we opened the mall, it was in 2013 October. But Phoenix, in fact, though they started later, they opened the mall earlier. They opened it about 10 months earlier. And we opened the mall with just 3 or 4 tenants, including theater. And my family was like really worried, and then said, what can we do? And then I said, it's fine. This is a challenge, but we need to overcome that. And I told them, let's not be negative about it. So it is better to open with the mall which with less footfalls, obviously, like, less stores and less footfalls, slowly growing, then open a mall with complete, and then the mall's life cycle is not very long, So So for example, I want to take the case of City Center. City Center, when they opened, there was no other mall in Chennai. So at one point of time, they had about 50,000 people, and then they became complacent. They didn't do anything about it because the mall just ran, and slowly that became their decline. So I told my family, let's work how to make the mall better, and we worked on it, And then initially we had a very tough time because for 2 years we never got the theater license. Initially we didn't have the tenants to be with, and then we didn't get the theater license for 2 years. and it was a huge challenge for us, and then we spent a lot of money as well. But me and my team was excellent, so that thanks to them, we slowly started making the mall work, and slowly started getting the tenants. And then, so because there was a challenge, there was a challenge in a mall. We are competing with Phoenix, so we thought, how can we be different? We thought rather than okay, we can't compete Phoenix in size, but what we can do is we position ourselves as a community mall for family, especially for the children. We try to engage the children. We do a lot of children based activities, and a lot of carnivals, a lot of talent shows, and we engage people in a social way also. So we engage all different sorts of communities. We have we also celebrate days like the physically disabled day. We also had a suicide intervention day, so that it's a community. In fact, once we have is doing the differently abled celebration, I didn't even realize that the people say they come to Grand Mall because we are the only mall which the theater has physically, wheelchair friendly. So I didn't even know that. So that's how we wanted to be an inclusive mall, and then we also try to do things differently in terms of social media, whatever. So we invented, and luckily, unfortunately, the lockdown happened just before the figures. In 2013, we had a walk-in about averaging about 20,000 walk-ins per month. So now, touchwood, we crossed almost 200,000. So it was lot of hard work, and then a lot of passion which went into building the mall. On the contrary, if had Phoenix had not started in the beginning, and then we had filled up everything, and Phoenix had started later, we would also be complacent like city center, and we would not have done anything to reinvent ourselves. So we would have actually collapsed. We would have like declined. So what I meant to say is things like a setback, an adversity and our challenges, like how we're facing now. Try to use it as an opportunity, and then it might, as I said, it might look bad for the moment, but it is never bad. It is always for a better good. That's what I wanted to say. And another story which I wanted to tell is about after coming back. My family has uh, coffee estate in Coor. It belongs to grandfather, so we have. He has 9 children, my mother, and then her siblings, and then a lot of cousins. Yeah, there's a very beautiful bungalow in that estate. It was from the British. We got it actually. It was a 200-year-old bungalow. Since we used to go there when we were young, so there's a lot of fond memories. And unfortunately, like none of my cousins also went abroad. I went abroad, so nobody. We never went to the estate for a long time. The house was in a very bad condition, so we wanted to restore the house. And so I got all my cousins together, and then during that time, this was again in 2009-10. Coorg was actually becoming a luxury destination. A lot of hotels were opening up, homestays were opening up, and I said like, okay, we're going to restore the house. Why don't we also think of letting it out? So as a homestay. So we made a project plan. So I found an operator from Ooty who also had similar properties, old colonial properties, and then we got him in, and we went to the estate, and we thought, okay, the bungalow will make about 4 rooms as a homestay, and maybe extra rooms we can take it in the backyard, later expansion. So it all gung-ho, we all set, and then we got the business plan together. This is good because all my extended family, my cousins, my nephews, nieces, all of us were part of it together, And we took this proposal to my uncle. I'm just getting some questions. In case, I'm able to answer, I'll answer it. So I took it to my uncle, and then with the operator, um, somehow, like after talking to the operator, he was not very convinced of him, and finally he said, no, we cannot go ahead with this project. And and me again, like we did a lot of homework, and then I researched, and then again I was shattered. So my uncle's word is the final thing. So what do we do about it? And I didn't let it go. Then I did a little more, lot of research. Then I found another operator who had a nice property in Kodaikanal. I took him along, and then went to the estate again. So he saw the bungalow and then he went around the estate. Then he said, he gave me a very good idea. He said, Zarook, see, listen, the bungalow is there. Let us not do the rooms there, because if you do the rooms, you know, you have like fantastic views from the balcony, I mean, from the veranda. Uh, Everybody will not be able to access it. Let us have it as a common area, a lodge for all the guests. You know? Let us take, build 8 cottages outside the bungalow. And but the project cost double, and then actually it went a lot more. And then I went and told this proposal to my cousins. Initially, we were hesitant because the project cost became more, but somehow we convinced, and then we took this proposal to my uncle. With this operator, he was happy, and eventually we started with this new operator in 2012 December. We opened the coffee estate. I mean the resort in Coorg. And Touchwood, now it is the fifth. Uh, it's on the top 5 in Coorg. You know, you can Google it. I have the pictures. I can show it to you later once I finish my presentation. It's called Old Kent Estate. And if initially, if I had gone with the original operator, we would have just been an homestay. Because my uncle had put a stop, maybe that had looked bad during that time. That looked like a challenge or an obstacle during that time. But that made us become a resort now. Otherwise, we had been a homestay. That is another example I'm telling you. So again, and challenges like these, don't take it as a challenge or don't take it as a negative thing. You will find something positive out of it. You know? And okay, this is basically about my story. How like what do you think as adversities or obstacles or challenges um, or, for a situation like this? It is actually for our good. You know, we might not know now, but later on, I bet, inshallah, like maybe in 5 or 10 years, we're going to have a lot of stories coming back. A lot of success stories will be coming back, and whenever we ask these people what happened, how did you become successful, and all of them will actually talk about COVID-19. Because of COVID-19, we had to think differently. We had to do things differently. That's how we became successful. You know. So now again, coming back to my second part, I want to talk about this situation, how we can be positive about it. It's not been a very difficult journey. I mean, this is something none of us have faced before. I mean, no living human. The last epidemic, as I said, happened in 1918. It was almost 102 years or 100 years ago. So nobody knows about how this is also going to unfold. You know, so especially for shopping mall, we were shut like 1 week before the general lockdown. And even when the government has announced May 3rd, we are going to open, but we don't know when the shopping malls are going to open. I think that's going to be the last. And frankly, so we have cash reserve maybe to last us to April, maybe to May. After that, we are very uncertain. We don't know how things are going to unravel. And there are a lot of, obviously, like I'm also human being, as I said before, and then I do have my negativities and pessimism, but that doesn't mean life stops. You need to be strong at this time. And first of all, we have to understand we are not fighting this alone. It's not only Chennai, it's not only Tamil Nadu, it's not only India, it's the entire world. We're talking about a 7 billion population is fighting. Everybody has the same problem. First of all, am I going to get COVID? Am I going to live? Even if I live, okay, like what is going to happen to my future? Like what is going to happen to my business? What is going to happen to my career? Will I get my rentals? Will I get my salaries? What, you know? First of all, let me tell you, things will become better. We don't have, inshallah, it will become better. And this is a time we really have to be positive. As I said, just telling being positive, it's easier said than done. And how do I overcome? How do I keep going every day? I think we're almost in the 25th or 26th day. How do I keep overcoming my negativities? Couple of things. I have points which also can be useful for you. It can be like as a business owner or maybe as an individual also. First of all, as I said before, have faith in God. Um, that's the first. Like when I get up, I pray, and I just ask God, please make the whole condition better. I mean, that's all. I mean, he's the supreme. I mean, it's all his. It's happening according to his will. We cannot change. We cannot alter. We cannot alter it. But definitely, he is going to take us through and then help make us better during this crisis. And the second most important thing which I do is, which is I've been practicing for a long time. It's not new to me. Fitness, like I finish my prayers in the morning and then I start my running. Once I run, like a lot of positive, well, you release endorphins, it's a, and these two things will actually, helps me sail through the day. And initially, like, the first 2 3 weeks, it was like I would say a very honeymoon phase, and a lot of I saw like a lot of positive things, like, I started seeing more of nature. You saw a lot of birds coming out, like I saw sparrows, which I've not seen in a very long time. And in fact, my cousin took pictures and showed me of kingfishers. We tend to notice like a lot of things which we are not seen before because of our busy lives. Like, now is the time for us to recharge. Let us think about what is happening now, what is happening to nature, and then we have a chance to spend more time with the family. So I have started. I mean, me and my children played together, and then with my daughter, we baked cakes together. So we actually we spend a lot of bonding also happened during this time. So anyway, like, whatever time is left, let us reflect and then try to do these simple things. So, I mean, and read. I'll come up about reading also. Simple things which will actually make you feel better. Probably these are not going to change your destiny or whatever. Nobody knows. But please try to live in the present. Please try to enjoy the moment now. Because now at this time, we don't know. We cannot work. We cannot do anything. Nothing can be done. We can think. That is only going to stress us more. But at least have faith in God. Try to keep a good fitness regime. And another most important thing is, please don't watch a lot of negative news. I mean, not negative news at all. The more you watch, the more you're going to get stressed out. Things are not going to change. Probably the best. I mean, these days I only try to read the newspaper, and that's the only, I think, trusted media. I mean, not even the TV channels. Not forget about social media. It's all. I wouldn't say fake news. It's more about, it's very dangerous. Like how it is dividing. So I don't watch any. I don't watch any news on my social media. The only media which I really rely on is my print media. I get all my news. Other than that, I mean, reading has always been my habit. So please try to also incorporate reading. And with reading, like you can actually update yourself. You can gain more knowledge. And if you see the habits of a lot of leaders or CEOs, these two things, reading as well as fitness, will be part of the regime. Try to do that. That's another thing I wanted to say. And one more thing, what will good happen from this situation? We will start innovating. Innovation is the key for it's a key, right? For example, if we see our lifeline, these essential stores, the Kirana stores, they have adopted technology like anything. They have apps now for delivery. Like a lot of innovations are going to happen. And recently, I've read a book called 21 Lessons for 21st Century by Yuval Noah Harari. As you know, he's an Israeli historian and a professor. His book is amazing. It tells, like, in the 21st century how we are going to evolve, and our life is going to be controlled by algorithms, by AI, and by biotechnology. For example, he gave an example of Google Maps. It was very interesting. Initially, like, so far we've been driving all along using an instinct to go to a place, but now we have started using Google Maps. Initially, like, now I stay in Valokaram. If I want to go to Cathedral Road, I'll be following one direction. But Google Map will tell me, Zarook, take your left. But no, I've been always going right. But okay, for the first time, I think, okay, let me just follow Google and see how it goes. And probably I can end up reaching there 5 minutes faster. From then on, I will only trust Google. I'm not only me, all of us, that's what is happening. I'm not even able, I'm not following my instincts, like AI is taking over me. So even now, when I think this is the route, no, I just simply follow Google. So eventually this is going to happen in all the respects, in terms of where you're going to work, who you're going to meet, everything will be controlled by yourself. Since all of our data is on the net or on the cloud, so none of us are people anymore. All of us are data, and then this will be, I wouldn't say manipulated, but this will be controlled, and everything will be decided. So a lot of jobs, like a blue collar job, will be actually eliminated. Like then your marketing job will be eliminated. And what will be the purview of the next generation? The only difference is creativity or innovation will be the key differentiator for a person looking to be hired. So only if you innovate, you will be useful. That's what it says. And then that's why I said being creative is very important thing. And when people talk about innovation, they think it's mostly about a product innovation or technology. No, it's not about that. It's even about simple ideas. Um, so you asked me how. I mean, I've incorporated innovation. How I said, because I had adversity, a challenge for our mall because being small in size. So we try to change it as a community mall, and then we also adopted digital earlier. In fact, if you go, all of you go on to Facebook, we are the third most active mall up next to Phoenix Express, and that's it. I mean, we have almost 80,000 followers, and then we engage our customers very well. And we were the first mall to have a digital treasure hunt, which we had almost 18,000 applications, and then we got about 600 people coming to the mall, and all the uh, tools were on digital. So we adopted to changes. So we try to innovate, we try to do new things. Another thing is what I want to do is what maybe unconsciously, I try to be more socially responsible, and that's why we try to be an inclusive mall, and then a mall has actually got a name for that. That's how we try to make small changes. And now actually, unfortunately, because lockdown, I was not able to open. I opened a new store called Moor Market. Moor Market, the older generation will know. It was the marketplace. It was like Phoenix, So they sold anything from prints to an airplane. That's what it is. And I used to go there to buy old books, and used to have old books. You used to have pets and everything. And when I wanted to start I wanted to start a bookstore in my mall. I didn't want to be a generic bookstore. So I thought, how can I be different? And then the concept of Moor Market came, and I thought, okay, why not have Moor Market? Books, old books, antiques, and maybe a small cafe also. And luckily, I trademarked the name Moor Market. The Moor Market name now actually belongs to me. The store, I mean, it was already open, but now I'm redoing it. We'll be opening it soon. This will be a store not only which will bring back nostalgia for the older generation, but be a new experience for the younger generation. And it will be a socially responsible store. Like I'll have new books, old books, and also books to be adopted. Like we had a lot of students, for example, who are not able to buy books. So we have books to be donated, which they can also pick it up. It'll be like that. And during this time, what I've seen was a very big thing, a nice thing. A lot of all of us have become very socially responsible. So probably in the post-COVID, a lot of interactions will be socially responsible as well. That's what I thought. And a couple of things for a business. I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs are there. As I said, like innovation is going to happen. Actually, technology will not drastically come and take over us. The brick and mortar will still be there. In fact, there'll be a lot of changes now. Initially, like we were all dependent of our neighborhood store. Then the malls came, bigger retailers came, and these people were, in fact, were going out of business. But during these times, our dependency on the local kirana stores have even become more. And I see this trend to be continuing even after this. So, but the kirana stores actually will adapt to technology, and we'll also be more dependent on these kirana stores. And how the kirana stores will also adapt to changes. They'll be giving a more personalized experience. If Zarook comes, so okay, these are things you need, and then he'll know my necessities. And if I'm able to fulfill my requirements in my neighborhood store, I will rather go there. And probably I'll go to a mall or a bigger store, a bigger retailer for experience, for experiential sales. When I want to watch a movie or entertainment, I might go there. So there'll be a paradigm shift between how we also going to buy. These are small innovations, and a lot of smaller stores could also come out of this from this crisis. And how, as I said, like regarding, since I'm a retailer, I'm talking in retailer perspective. Um, our spend, like now, not only me, all of us, whether it's a retailer or an entrepreneur or we have to keep our expenses very, very low at the moment. Now, I mean, this sudden change has left us very disruptive. We need to have always a contingency plan for the future, and that's why it's important to be very wise in how we spend. And every month, like out of our salaries or out of our revenues, we need to have a sinking fund which will help us in a rainy day like this. We need to have always reserves. That's another important lesson we need to know. And our marketing budget, spending budget, especially malls, like they do the traditional method of going to print and big media, that will change, like now more and more people will be going digitally. So already Grand Square has adopted digital in a big time. So a lot of advertisements, the marketing will go through digital. And another most important thing for anybody, I mean, whether it be a student or a person in career or corporate or a business, networking is very, very important. This is the right time now. Most of us are home. You can start calling people, your customers, your vendors, your suppliers, whoever it is. Just ask them. I mean, you don't have to talk business about them with them. You can just build up relationship. What is more important, which I learned from my father, and which I'm also adapting. Networking is your net worth. You need to build good relationship, and then another important thing which you need to learn is when you meet a person or you're going to make a relationship, don't just think in how he'll be useful to you. Don't think about it. Just make a relationship. Whether it will become useful or not, it's immaterial. It's very important. You never know how it is going to come and useful to you. Start building up good relationship. Another important thing I wanted to talk about is whenever it's a small organization or big organization, it's all about we, not I. I go give lectures a lot of colleges, and when I ask the students tell to talk about, I mean, I ask about Microsoft, who built Microsoft. Everybody says it's Bill Gates. No, it's actually two founders are the Bill Gates and Paul Allen. Um, Again, it's if it's Apple, it was not just Steve Jobs. It was Steve Jobs, Paul Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne. And again, Infosys is not Narayana Murthy. There are about 5 or 6 founders. Nandan Nilekani, Krish Gopalakrishnan. I forgot the other name. So it is always it's we. When you have a team, so for me, I have a very good team. So I'm good in probably branding and marketing, but maybe I'm my weakness are maybe in execution administration. But I have a very good. My partner is good in administration. So you need to have a team which will actually complement you. And during this time, it is you can actually talk to your team, and then so once you share your ideas or stresses or fears, how you're going to business, how you're going to operate your business further, you can start talking about. Maybe you might not get results immediately because nobody knows about what's going to happen, but at least it will elevate your fear. You'll have a lot of positive energy. And then I make sure that every day I talk to at least 1 or 2% who will fill me with positivity. Talking to them, they'll always feel, okay, Zarook, this is going to get better. Try talking to people who will give you positivity. That's another important thing I want to talk about. As I said before, read a lot. During this lockdown, I finished 2 books. One was a book by Elon Musk. Another one is a book by a journalist called Sagarika Ghosh. It's called Why I'm Liberal. But for people who are starting to read, I would recommend 2 books. One is 21 Lessons for 21st Century by Yuval Noah Harari. It's a great book. It's how technology is going to take over. Another thing is, it's an old book, not new. It's World is Flat by Thomas Friedman. It tells how the world is very interconnected at the moment. Please start reading. If you're not started, please start. Keep reading as your habit. And as I said before, don't listen to. Are we still okay? I mean, fine.
So we are actually falling short of time, Duke.
Okay,
we do for.
We can go for
no worries, because we do have question and answers. A lot of people are waiting for your answers. So they are eagerly waiting. So
okay, one final note I stopped. I mean, before question and answers.
Sure, sir.
I mean, I wish I could have shown you my PPT, but I was not able to open it. Positive is something which doesn't happen naturally. I mean, you need to develop it. And as I said before, I mean, I'm also like all of you. I have my uncertainties. I have my pessimism, negativity, but I try to overcome that, I made it. In fact, I developed it. It's not, it didn't come overnight to me, so please develop it. And inshallah, all of us are together in this. We'll fight it, and then we'll become better persons after this crisis. Okay, go ahead, please.
I'd like to thank you, sir, for your extremely valuable insight, for your experience which you have gained in your life, the mistakes you've done. I hope it has inspired, motivated all of us, and it has personally inspired and motivated me a lot to
Thank
look
you.
forward to you from your experiences. So, in regards with the questions, we do have a few questions. First will be, sir, please explain how to overcome the fear of loss and how to keep our team motivated.
A fear of loss, in you mean in financial loss?
Fear, yeah, financial loss, sir. Financial loss.
I wish I see. I mean, as I said before, just think about it. Okay, for example, when we opened the mall, we didn't get the theater license for 2 years. Okay, theater license for Grand Square, and in independent entity. So we had a huge financial loss during that time. But now, whoever the person has asked me a question, he is not facing it alone. He's facing with not one person, not two person, not with Chennai, not with Tamil Nadu, not with India, with the entire world. Everybody is facing the same crisis. And my suggestion is, as I said, please live through the day. Future, nobody knows. Even I don't know what is going to happen. And if at all, I mean, at the moment, just see for your basic needs. Basically, what we need, we have roof, and then we need to eat. Just keep focusing on that, and forget about what losses you're going to make. Nobody knows about it. I mean, hopefully, like our government will give us some packages. We'll just take it hope, and ask the person to be confident, to be positive. Things will be better. And if you have any personal questions, you can ask me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when he said loss, and I don't know what kind of loss, because everybody's facing a loss. So just think, all of us are together in this. It's not only a problem faced by an individual. It's the entire world is facing a problem. We have about 20 million people losing jobs in America. So world will be a different place, but we will come out better out of the whole situation. Yeah.
Yes, inshallah. So next question would be request you to give us the book name that you were talking about, that the Israeli author, your book, as well as the Elon Musk book.
It's a Japanese name. You can actually Google my name. You'll get it on Google. I mean, on Amazon. It's called Yume no Monogatari. It means story of dreams, and you can just Google my name. If anybody wants, I mean, I can send you the link to you. You can just Google my name. It'll come. You can find it. It's on all the platforms. It's on Amazon. It's on Flipkart. It's on physical stores as well, and in Kindle.
Okay. So the Israeli author, you said that he wrote a book, that as well as the Elon Musk. That is what also I think they were also asking.
Yuval Noah Hariri, 21 Lessons for 21st Century.
Okay, understood, sir. So
and in fact, you can also watch his interviews. Recently, he gave one interview on India Today with Rahul Khandelwal. He spoke with him. He's a great author. And two books, as I told you, if at all I can suggest two books, is Thomas Friedman, World is Flat, and Yuval Noah Hariri.
Okay. So, sir, there is a big question. Let me just try to make it fast. Assalamu alaikum, brother. First of all, thanks to Almighty for giving us an opportunity to join this forum. Also, a big thanks to share your personal life experience with us. I need your thoughts and perspective on the following. I'm being in the fashion sourcing business and catering for international brands and footwear. As you say, surely COVID will certainly open up opportunities. I need to know what you should generally be done to avoid losing current markets, and how can we be the first to grab the opportunity. Point number two, the only aspect in the entire supply chain from raw materials to material supply and production factories to brands and retail shops across the globe is closed. What and how will it give a strain to the general supply chain?
He's in the footwear industry, is it?
Yes, sir. He's into the fashion sourcing business, catering to international brands and footwear.
So it's very business specific. It's actually one of my best friend. He's the owner of the biggest footwear company in India itself, and he's facing. I mean, he has about 30,000 employees. At the moment, still, I mean, most of his orders are coming from America and Europe. I don't think so. I mean, hopefully they'll open soon, but I don't think so. They'll be opening in another maybe even half a year. What is going to come out of this entire episode, which we're seeing, is there's going to be big deglobalization. Every country will look inwards. How, like, China is looking inwards. All of us, like India will be looking inwards. Probably what you should do is you should start looking into the local market. We have like 1.3 billion and 60-70% is youngsters who follow fashion. So he can, if he's not done before, if he can actually look into the local market, I mean, we are huge spenders for fashion. So he can try looking inwards into India. That's what is going to happen, I think so. And if it's more specific, I mean, I can talk to him directly, but since it's not related to my industry, maybe I can get some opinions from him.
Thank you, sir. So the next question would be, when you say talk to people and not for business, I'm just skeptical. How do they react?
I didn't get you. What?
When you say talk to people and not for business, I'm just skeptical. How do they react?
This is a good question. See, okay, it's my philosophy. You are invited to a forum or you're meeting everything. Okay, basically you're there to network, right? That's no doubt about it. Whenever you're going to talk to somebody, but when you're going to talk to them, you can find about them. You can meet them as a person first, not about what they do or how you can benefit out of it. Once the other person knows that, okay, I mean, A, B, or C is coming and talking to you, looking for something out of him, they might not get close to you. Talk to the other person as a person, form a relationship. Later on, when there's something, business will come out of it. I mean, if you only going to talk to a person just to get something out of it, might not work. So people will really come to see what you're looking for. So I mean, it works. So I'm a people's person. I like to talk to anybody. Just to know who they are, what they are, and then to share experiences. Uh, Forge relations with share experiences. Give you experience, take experiences. Business will follow later. I mean, another important thing I want to say is, when you're going to do a business, do it because of a dream and passion. Not because it's a commodity as a business. Money is a byproduct. Same thing with relationship. That's how I see it.
Okay, sir. So we will be taking just a few more questions as we have another 4-5 minutes more. We'll try to just speeding it up. There's one person who's asking how to come out of depression,
That's a good
and
question.
there is another person who's asking how to select the right partner.
Partner.
Business partner. Business
Okay.
partner.
Come out depression. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, I don't know what sort of depression level you have to first assess yourself. I mean, first of all, you need to talk about your condition to somebody you love, and there's no shame in going and taking a professional help. The first thing I would just suggest is, please go take a professional help. That's the best thing I did, and there's no stigma about going and seeking professional help. And I was under probably if I had not taken a proper profession, I would not have been able to manage. Of course, my faith and fitness, all those things helped me. But taking a proper professional help is important. I don't know how big of a depression you are, but depending upon what your condition is, you should take professional help. And if you need more information, please try to reach me. I mean, I can talk to you and then I can find it out. And selecting a partner, actually, it is the right questions. Okay, for example, for me, my strengths are it's core branding, marketing, and probably innovation. My weaknesses are more on the administration and executive side. Um, if I'm going to form a corporation, if you're going to find something new, your partner should have qualities which you lack, so you can bring them together. Probably the other person could be good in execution, good in administration, or could be in finance. Finance is a very important aspect of it. You need to have somebody who can make a business plan for you, make financial projections for you. So your partner, I mean, you see what are the aspects which you lack, try to find it in your partner. So, and one person cannot have all the qualities. So find partners, the qualities which you don't have. You know yourself, try to find a partner who has the other qualities.
Okay, excellent insight, sir. Next question is, nice to hear from your life experience, Mr. Zarook Shah. Here is a question to you and the panelists. How to identify the right person to seek advice? If you seek advice from others, how do you pick others and approach?
How do you seek advice from the right person?
Yeah, I mean, how to seek the right person for advice? How to identify the right person?
Okay. See, for me, actually, my role model was my father. So, if at all, I mean, unfortunately, he's not there anymore. and you will have somebody you're close to, right? Who you can trust. The first factor is trust, and you feel comfortable. You can open up to somebody. I think that should be the right person. You'll know. I mean, this person I'm comfortable. Maybe it could be a brother, it could be a cousin, it could be a father, it could be uncle, or it could be your friends. Somebody who will be non-judgmental to you. I mean, that's something which I learned. I'm very happy that I lived in Japan for almost 20 years. I have friends across all spectrums, like whether it's countries, races, religions. That made me a very non-judgmental person. The person should be actually non-judgmental of whatever advice you're seeking. That should be the right person. Somebody should not come and judge you. If a person doesn't judge you and then takes a neutral advice and helps you, that'll be the right person. And somebody who you can trust. You'll feel comfortable with somebody. You can share it with them.
Okay, sir. So there are 4 or 5 questions where people are asking how to contact you. Can you just give your email ID so that people can just mail you in regards with any
Yeah, Zarook Shah,
support?
ZAROOK,
Okay.
SHAH
Okay.
at hotmail.com.
At hotmail.com. Okay, so that's for all the people who are asking questions in regards with contacting him. You can
Anybody,
mail him.
please let them.
Yeah, so I think so that's done. We'll be done with that. So it is an excellent session. The questions are still pouring in, but since we have lack of time, we cannot do justice to all.
I mean,
So
I wish I could have shown my PPT. Okay, next time.
you hopefully, sir, you can just send me the PPT. We'll send it in the group. No
Yeah,
worries.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
thank
it's a pleasure having you with us, sir. Thank you so much for your energetic and your valuable experience which you've shared with us.
you.
And we look forward to have you with us consistently in mentoring us and guiding us forward.
Inshallah.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Still, I'll be able to, if you close, I'll be able to see the questions. I just want to see the questions, actually.
You can, sir. You can just have a look at it. Yeah, you can just stop sharing your video so that people will be able to exit.
Done. Okay.
Yeah.
No, Brother Zarook, thanks for coming. Inshallah, I will share you the questions. I have copied the questions. Inshallah, I'll share it to you.
Okay, done. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.